Are you looking to buy a home or should you be renting a place? Now that's an interesting question. To actually answer that burning question that we have here today, why not just find out which choice suits you the best? Okay, let's get into it. Hey, what's up you guys? Lukas here from excelwealth.com. Great that you joined in today because in today's video, I want to actually answer the question, should you be buying a home or should you be renting a place? Because hey, we've been wondering about that question for a very, very long time. And in this video, I actually want to go through the 3 elements why you should be buying a place or either renting a place. But before we go into the video, of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button because that's the way how we can grow our community. And of course, if you haven't checked out my latest book yet, the How to Invest 2 Minutes on the Stock Market and Make Some Money Along the Way. There's a link down below in the description to be able to get your own book on Amazon so that you can have your own copy. So to be able to answer that question today, if you should be buying a place or if you should be renting a place, I'll actually go through the 3 elements today. Which one is better, the expenses, and of course the benefits. With those 3, most likely you'll be able to make your choice to say, hey, this is a good idea. Okay, let's get into it. Now the first aspect that I want to go through with you is which one is which and why should we choose? Now I'll tell you this, if you're going to live in one place for longer than 4 years, and yes, there's like a chart here that you can see, people who tend to live in a place for longer than 4 years, I'll tell you this, buying a place is not a bad idea. Because in the end, all the expenses that you made up front will be paid back through because you're living there for a certain longer time. And yes, when we take a look at the average numbers of the statistics here in the US and of course here in the Netherlands, you'll see that most people live somewhere between 7 to 9 years in one place, in one home. So somewhere between 7 to 9 years. Now that's kind of interesting actually. So yes, if you plan to live in a certain place for longer than 4 years, and most likely 7 to 9 years if you're going to stay somewhere, then yes, buying a home is not a bad idea. So the moment you want to have your flexibility, staying in a place not longer than 3 years, then yes, renting a place is not a bad idea. And yes, I've done it myself as well. Now, not that long, but yeah, that, because I had the feeling that every time I was paying my rent, I was like, I'm helping out the owner of the home instead of helping out my own wallet. So yeah, so in my case, I didn't live that long in a rental place. But yes, if you don't plan to live in a place for a very long time, one location and one home, then yes, renting a place is not a bad idea. But okay, let's go check the expenses. So when we take a look at the expenses of a bought home and a rental home, then yes, we've got some expenses next to each other. So the first thing is, I'm going to list it over here for you. The moment we're talking about a home that you've bought, the first thing that you need to pay is mortgage. It's a fixed number. Every month you're going to pay a mortgage and you already know how much you're going to pay for the mortgage. Next to the mortgage that you have to pay, you also have to pay a few more things, of course. For example, property tax. Because you own a certain home, you have to pay taxes on that. The government will say, hey, mister, you got a property over there and you got to pay taxes because you live in our city and you have your own property in our city. So yeah, we're going to take some property taxes from you because you own this home in my city. Yes, so yeah, you got to pay for that. So the next thing is, of course, insurances. The moment you have a home, you kind of have to pay for the insurances that actually relate to the home. Because, what happens if a storm comes by? God says, you know what, let's put a storm in the city and destroy the home. Then your insurance will cover that because, the storm is not something that you could do anything about. But you have to pay for the insurances, okay? And then, of course, the thing that belongs to a property, the moment you own it, is repairs. The moment something breaks down in a property, then yes, it's kind of your own responsibility to repair it. If the bathroom sink doesn't work, then yes, you have to repair it. You have to fix it. And yes, you have to pay for the expenses. So being a homeowner, it's not only about paying the mortgages, but all the other expenses that you have listed here on this end. So yeah, you'll have to pay for that as well. When we take a look at the rental property, then the first expense that you will have is, of course, your monthly rent. And yes, you have to pay for that. And if you compare these two numbers, you'll notice that sometimes rent is lower, sometimes rent is higher than buying a property. But the moment you want to buy a property in Los Angeles, for example, and compare that to rental prices, most likely the mortgages will be slightly lower than the actual rent. And now you might be thinking, hey, that's not fair. That actually means buying a home is actually a smart idea. But remember, what kind of expenses that you will have to pay? Insurances, taxes, and repairs. Because the moment you live in a rental property, how about taxes? Well, no. You don't have to pay taxes because you don't own the property. How about insurances? Well, no. You don't own the property, so that you don't have to pay the property insurances. And how about the property repairs, like if the sink breaks down? Well, that's the homeowner's problem because you live in it, and, well, it's not your mistake that the sink didn't work out like the way it should have. That's the case of the homeowner. Now, this is the interesting thing. The only expense that you have the moment you rent a place is monthly rent. Yeah, because things like utilities, well, everybody's got to pay for utilities. And insurances for, if something gets stolen from your property, yes, everybody's got their insurances for that. So the only thing that you need to pay is rent. And that's the only expense. So when you compare buying a home and renting a place, it's not only about the mortgages compared to the actual monthly rent. The whole list of owning a home, all the property taxes, all the property insurances, all the property repairs are also included. And you have to include those things as well. And then you've got the numbers to compare to each other. So it's not only about living in your home for a longer time, like aspect number one, but aspect number two also talks about the expenses and the comparison of those two expenses. And then you could say, hey, this is the amount that I want to spend on my home, and is that something for the long term or for the short term? And these are the expenses. Now let's go to aspect number three. So the last aspect is, of course, the benefits. What are the benefits of owning a home? Well, one of the benefits is, of course, you have equity growth. Now, it's not something that you will see like, oh no, oh my goodness, I see my money growing. No, well, it's not like that, because in the end, it is the stone and the wood and all the bricks together that people say, ooh, that has a certain value. And over time, most likely, it will grow over time. And that's equity growth. So the moment you sell off your property in 10 years' time, yes, it will be valued more than it was 10 years before. And that's the whole idea of equity growth. Now, the next benefit for having a home is that, yes, there are tax benefits. Because you do own a home, the interesting thing is this, the government sees it like, hey, this guy's actually trying to own a home, and we got to help him out, so we got to give him some cuts on taxes, and we'll help him out there. And this is all the tax benefits that you will have the moment you own a home. You don't have this the moment you only rent a place. Then, people would say, okay, you made the choice to rent this place and not buy it. Yes, so that's why you don't get a tax benefit. So owning a home will also get you tax benefits, most likely on your mortgages every year, at the end of the year then. So yes, there are tax benefits for owning a home. Now, the last aspect of owning a home and having a benefit for that is, of course, you have all the freedom in your own kingdom. And you gotta see it like this. If you don't like this wall, you can take it out. If you don't like the color on the wall, you can paint it. Well, then again, in a rental place, you can also paint it, of course. But you can't take out the wall because, hey, there was a wall here and you can't really take it out just like that. You have all the freedom in your kingdom. That's what I kind of would like to say. The moment you own a home, you can actually decorate the home in a way that you want it to. If you want to expend the money to get an extra window in your home, hey, it's up to you, man. If you live by the rules set by your government or set by your state or set by your county, then absolutely you can do whatever you want to. But the moment you actually live in a rental place, well, I'm sorry, but most likely you can't really place an extra window in the house or all of a sudden remove a wall. You can't really do that, right? But the actual benefit of living in a rental place is, you know, you don't have to be there all year long. So for example, like, you know, when you leave the place, you can say like, you know what, I'm not going to maintain the place because, you know, hey, I'm not going to do that. It's not my property. Or the moment you say, you know what, I'm going to travel for a year and we're going to leave this home, then you don't have to worry about anything because you could say like, you know what, I'm going to end my contract and hey, it's back to you again. And I'm going to find myself a new place and I'm going to travel the world. All of a sudden, that mobility and that flexibility is what you have. Let's say that, you know, say what, like I want to live in the middle of the city. And yes, the housing prices are a bit high, but I want to live there for like a year and I can work and I can get all my networking and get everything done, everything in my neighborhood, just because I live there for now. And that's totally fine. These are all benefits the moment you live in a rental place. The moment I rented a place myself, the interesting thing was I could do everything within walking distance. That was so cool, living in the middle of the city. Right now, I still live nearby the city center, but yes, I would have to walk there and it would take like 10-15 minutes to walk to the city center. Whereas, you know, in my student time, I could crawl from the bar back to my home and say like, I'm home and I'm going to sleep right now. And yes, I had to spend a little bit more money. This is why back then I would always say to myself, you know what? I gotta make money, buy my own rental property so that I could rent the place out to other people and live in that myself. And then that would be called house hacking, but that's in a different video. Okay, and these are the 3 aspects that I wanted to share with you to help you make the choice. Are you gonna buy a place or are you gonna rent a place? And in the end, you know, it's about you. What are your wishes? What are your purposes? What would you like to do with your money? Because in the end, money can only be spent once. We're not like the bank. We can not leverage our money 10 times. So yes, you only have money once and you can spend it once. I'm meaning that singular dollar. I'm not talking about money in general. That singular dollar can only be spent once. So how are you going to spend it? What are your wishes towards your places that you want to live? Is it something permanent, which is like 7 to 9 years it seems? Or would it be temporary? You know, like I'm going to live here no longer than 3 years. Then yes, there's your answer to should I buy or should I rent? Okay, thank you very much for watching my video and I hope that you liked it. If you like it, do hit the like button. And of course, if you want to be subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And of course, if you every time a new video comes out, you want to be notified every time a new video comes out, be sure to click that notification bell as well. I thank you very much for watching and I'll see you on the next video. Happy investing and bye-bye.